You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, let's talk about Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White. My goodness, there was something said last night during Caitlin Clark's special NBA analyst appearance on the NBA on NBC last night prior to a really high-profile game, the Knicks versus Lakers at Madison Square Garden. And she was asked about, hey, what's the player that you like? What play style can you relate to? That sort of thing. And she dropped a big fat Luka Doncic on us. Now, I've said Steph Curry mixed with Larry Bird, but okay, I can get where she's coming from. She's being asked about, a more present day kind of player. Of course, Steph is still active, but Luka is, of course, has that triple-double vibe to him. He had one just the other night. And, boy, it got, my boy Ben Daniel brought this up, and I was like, that's right. I think I did a video on that when it happened. And it was Stephanie White's take on Luka Doncic being gone from the Mavericks. I mean, a trade that has been overwhelmingly destroyed. It's considered one of the worst trades in the history of all sports outside of Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. Let's just get to this. Once again, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. Check, make sure. And if you're not, make sure you subscribe. So, let's get to this right here. This is interesting, and then we'll get to the Stephanie White clip because, my goodness, Stephanie White's opinion on a Luka Doncic-less Mavericks team is scary as hell. And it goes back to something we've been saying for a while. If you watch us content creators and not a bunch of sports media that's blowing smoke up your ass about Stephanie White, we've said Stephanie White would prefer to play basketball games, in our opinion, either without Caitlin Clark or with Caitlin Clark in a more diminished kind of non-superstar kind of role. Well, that's not what any of us want to see. I mean, can we not sign up for that?
Even more specifically, because there's things in his game maybe you would want to add to yours in the league?
Man, I think Luka. Luka's amazing and he's incredible. I think the way he can not only score the ball, but also the way he passes. And I think the thing about him is, he's not the fastest, he's not the most athletic, but he can get his defender to move where he wants him to go, and he takes up that space, and he does a really good job of either keeping the defender behind him or keeping him to the side. So I think that's something I can certainly learn from. I always kind of want to run away from the defense rather than absorbing the contact and taking up the space that they give me. So I think, obviously, he's pretty incredible. He averages like a 30-point triple-double. So he makes it look pretty easy, but I can promise you it's not that easy.
Yeah, he is coming off a triple-double. You got that right.
Okay, so you heard her words. She likes her some Luka Doncic. That's the player she feels like she can add the most from that player's game. Now check out these quotes she made after the Mavericks traded away Dončić.
A wrist sprain in that game and has been out since. And that puts a lot on the plate of players like Spencer Dinwiddie, who just came in, who finds Marshall for the corner three.
When you see the Mavs just play differently without Luka on the floor, he's a guy who's high usage rate, the ball's in his hands. When he's not on the floor, that ball is moving, it's popping. Multiple players getting involved in action, and everyone's stepping up.
Lower usage rate for him this year. A wrist sprain in that game and has been out.
You can hear the disdain in her voice, how much she doesn't care for the game of Luka Doncic. The ball movement. He was a high usage player. No kidding. You don't say? She feels like a superstarless team. That's her jam. We tried to tell you. that is her jam. And here we are, right here. The player that Caitlin Clark would most like to add to her game in the league right now is the one that Stephanie White doesn't have any appreciation for. What does that tell you? I mean, those red flags are so red, they're like maroon. This should send off fireworks about how Stephanie White would like to really use Caitlin Clark. And if you're a fan of Caitlin Clark's game, it ought to be frightening to you. Because we want to see Caitlin Clark cook. Let's just be real. But we also believe the Indiana Fever are a better team when Caitlin Clark is, lack of a better way of putting it, hitting threes, hitting shots, and distributing the ball in a dynamic manner. She's a dynamic basketball player. But if you gave the Indiana Fever head coach truth serum, would she truly feel that the same? There's been small things said by Stephanie White over time that would lead you to believe, this marriage could end up becoming broken. Could end up becoming a more of a divorce at some point. And it kind of makes you wonder. It almost feels like in the NFL, they just went through the coaches hiring cycle. All right. 10 coaches got fired. And yesterday, 2 more coaches got hired. That completed the cycle. And I always get the sense sometimes that some of these coaches go into these interviews and they blow a lot of bullshit up the asses, up the skirts of NFL owners, particularly about whoever is their quarterback. Right? And that's really what Caitlin Clark is. She's the superstar quarterback. And they blow up, and you, oh yeah, I like it. We can do something with him. We can, and what the coach is really thinking, I'm going to get through this year, and when this guy shits the bed, far as I'm concerned, I'm going to go draft another quarterback, or I'm going to sign a guy in free agency. They're never really truly on board, but they told ownership what they wanted to hear in order to get the job. And are we looking at a situation to bring this back around where Stephanie White told Indiana Fever leadership, the higher-ups, the owner, what they wanted to hear to be able to take this job? Because it's a high-profile job, right? Yeah, it's a high-profile job as long as you don't piss away the most dynamic, likable player in all the league. Yeah, it's a dynamic job. It's the most coveted job in the WNBA. Let's be real. It's the most coveted job from a coaching standpoint in women's sports. Yeah, facts. But does any of that matter? I mean, we know that the entire WNBA is filled with females that are ate up with the fact that Caitlin Clark is not really her. So you want to just sell me on the fact that Stephanie White's not one of them? Well, her agenda has told us she's absolutely one of them. I found this interesting. When Ben Daniel did a video about it, I said, oh, shit, that's right. I was watching that last night. I'm going to talk about that too. Because it just kind of shows you when there's trouble coming down the road, you start seeing signs. You start seeing key indicators. This is a blatant, you can audibly hear and see from Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White, they got a difference of philosophy. That's an issue. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.